New Mexico's healthcare leaders and advocates met with members of the state's congressional delegation recently to discuss the potentially devastating impact of proposed Medicaid cuts. Jon Jones, widely regarded as one of the greatest MMA fighters in history, has announced his retirement from the UFC. A man has been arrested for allegedly setting a fire in Albuquerque's Bosque on Saturday. And the union representing over 3,700 Albertsons and Smiths workers in New Mexico has voted to authorize a strike. From the Albuquerque Journal, this is the leading news. I'm Gino Gutierrez. It's Monday, June 23rd, and we'll have more on those stories plus a look at Albuquerque's weather forecast on the other side of this break.
This episode is brought to you by the Kirtland Partnership Committee. For 30 years, we've been dedicated to supporting, growing, and preserving the Kirtland National Security Complex. We work tirelessly to enhance military readiness, foster community partnerships, improve quality of life, and promote economic development right here in New Mexico. Join us in our mission to ensure that Kirtland remains a cornerstone of national security and a key provider of quality jobs and investment for all of Greater Albuquerque. Together, we can make a powerful impact. Kirtland Partnership Committee, proudly shaping the future of our national security for 30 years.
In a recent roundtable in Albuquerque, healthcare leaders, advocates, and U.S. Representative Gabe Vasquez met to discuss the potentially devastating impacts of proposed Medicaid cuts under the federal, quote, One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Carlos Zuniga, an advocate with the National Alliance on Mental Health, or NAMI, shared a powerful personal story to highlight the stakes. Living on $900 a month, Zuniga relies on Medicaid for critical prescriptions, pain management, housing support, and access to care that helped him finish high school after a spinal injury and incarceration.
I live alone, I have a townhouse, but without Medicaid I wouldn't be able to get my vouchers for housing, and without Medicaid I wouldn't be able to get the things I need to just live a regular life for my pain management. This is just some of the medication that I need to take 4 or 5 times a day to be able to function and have a productive life.
Zuniga's story underscores a broader warning. Proposed cuts could lead to significant Medicaid rollbacks, disproportionately harming low-income residents, people with mental health conditions, and rural communities. According to the New Mexico Hospital Association, the proposed changes could lead to the closure of 5 to 8 hospitals in the state, with one being urban and the rest in rural areas. Julia Rutan, who's the group's lobbyist, warned that the closures could happen over the next 18 to 24 months.
There might be one urban hospital and the rest would be rural, which, as everybody knows, would make accessing care for individuals in those communities, which is already difficult, that much more difficult. I think that would be something that we would see maybe 18 months to 24 months once all of the dust settles on this. What would happen in the meantime, and it's something that has been mentioned, is that they would start to reduce services. And so the services where you either have low patient volume or that are very expensive to provide, such as OB, because you have to have 24-hour coverage if you have a labor and delivery unit. And so for some of them, I think it would be a slow, sad, kind of painful decline, because services would close over time, and then eventually likely the hospital would close at the end of that.
Key to the concern is the provider tax, which New Mexico uses to draw down $1.2 billion in federal funds each year. The Senate draft bill would cap this tax at 3.5% of hospital revenue, down from New Mexico's current rate of 5.8%. This could blow a major hole in the state's ability to fund Medicaid reimbursements, especially for hospitals heavily reliant on Medicaid patients. The bill could also include new Medicaid work requirements, which, according to the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, could result in 10 to 15 million people losing coverage nationwide. More paperwork-heavy re-enrollment processes would also likely lead to people losing coverage unintentionally and often showing up as uninsured patients in emergency rooms. Mental health advocates are especially concerned, warning that people with mental illnesses may struggle to navigate those requirements and suffer without care.
We're going to have a lot more issues on the street.
That's the voice of Jane Garland, the vice president of the National Alliance on Mental Illness, Albuquerque.
A lot of people don't just take their treatment. They need help taking their treatment.
Yes.
And so if their treatment is cut off, they'll be perfectly happy with it, but they're going to deteriorate mentally. It's going to be a lot more problems on the street than we already have. With what we're giving now, we already have a huge community on the street that isn't doing well. But if we cut off their support that they have now, the people who are maybe doing a little better are going to deteriorate.
Perhaps nowhere are the stakes higher than in rural communities like Portales, where Roosevelt General Hospital serves as the only healthcare provider for miles. With nearly 1/3 of its 3,000 to 4,000 monthly patients on Medicaid, CEO Kay Green said Medicaid cuts could force them to cancel plans to expand care or even cut critical programs like behavioral health services, which already operates at a loss. Green warned that without Medicaid funding, rural hospitals like hers face a bleak future.
And if we have significant cuts to Medicaid, it could be devastating for all hospitals, but rural hospitals in particular, because in rural settings, we don't have a large percent of commercial insurance payers, and that's really where you can make up your profits. And when I say profit, I want to be clear. We are a not-for-profit hospital. We are considered quasi-governmental because we're a special hospital district formed by a vote of the people who live in Roosevelt County. So when I say profit, I just mean net income each year. So every dollar of net income that we make above what our costs are, it gets reinvested back into our people, our equipment, our buildings, and any service expansions that we would like to pursue.
New Mexico's healthcare system is already under pressure, with urban hospitals at or over capacity. If smaller facilities cut services or close, the burden will shift to larger hospitals like UNMH, where patients may arrive sicker after traveling long distances for care. The provider tax program implemented last year was New Mexico's attempt to stabilize Medicaid funding. It has worked so far, with hospitals receiving their first payments in March, and the system draws down $1.5 billion total, with 60% based on patient volume and 40% on quality. But advocates say cutting this system so soon after implementation could unravel gains just as they were starting to take hold. In other headlines from the newsroom, Jon Jones, widely regarded as one of the greatest MMA fighters in history, announced his retirement from the UFC on Saturday, marking the end of a storied and controversial career. UFC President Dana White confirmed the decision, naming Tom Aspinall the new heavyweight champion. Jones, 37, shared his gratitude in a social media post, reflecting on his journey in the sport. However, just days before the announcement, a criminal summons was filed in Albuquerque Metropolitan Court, charging Jones with a misdemeanor for allegedly fleeing the scene of a February car crash. The complaint alleges a woman who was found intoxicated and partially undressed at the car crash scene identified Jones as the driver who fled on foot. Police say Jones made threatening remarks during a phone call and later gave conflicting accounts. He has a bond arraignment set for July 24th. The charges appeared unrelated to his announcement, but add to a long list of legal troubles that have shadowed his career. A man has been arrested for allegedly setting a fire in Albuquerque's Bosque on Saturday. Sean Taylor, 45, was taken into custody and charged with arson causing over $2,500 in damages, which is a third-degree felony. According to police, a witness initially couldn't identify Taylor as the person seen leaving the area near Alameda with a lighter, but changed his mind after seeing Taylor up close. Taylor has denied setting the fire, but admitted to having a lighter in his backpack. Deputies found him with a dog and a camouflage backpack, matching the suspect's description. This blaze is part of a concerning pattern, with 4 other human-caused fires reported earlier in the week along the Rio Grande. While police are investigating if Taylor is linked to those incidences, they currently don't suspect him of involvement. Officials say restoring burned Bosque lands cost about $5,000 per acre. Albuquerque Police Chief Harold Medina praised officers for acting quickly to protect one of Albuquerque's most valuable natural resources. And the union representing over 3,700 Albertsons and Smiths workers in New Mexico has voted to authorize a strike. This comes after the union cited allegations of collusion by the 2 grocery chains during contract talks. The United Food and Commercial Workers Local 1564 accuses the companies of forming a joint bargaining unit without union consent and failing to provide necessary information for negotiations. The strike could begin as early as June 29th, when the current contract expires. About 97% of voting members supported the authorization, with votes still pending in several cities. Workers like longtime Smiths employee Carl Trujillo say they're pushing for fair wages, better staffing, and protection from outside vendor agreements and AI technology that may reduce union jobs. The union has also filed unfair labor practice charges with the National Labor Relations Board. Albertsons and Smiths have denied any wrongdoing and say they remain committed to good faith negotiations. Talks between the union and the companies are scheduled to resume today. The Leading News is powered by the journalism of the Albuquerque Journal. If you enjoy hearing all of the stories we share with you here daily, please consider becoming a digital subscriber to the Journal by utilizing the discount code in our show notes. Every subscription helps support local journalism and allows us to provide you with the news that matters to you. Now taking a look at Albuquerque's weather forecast. Isolated showers and thunderstorms are expected today after 3 p.m., sunny with a high near 98. As for this evening, scattered showers and thunderstorms are expected, mostly cloudy with a low around 63. To keep up with all the latest news from the Albuquerque Journal, you can visit our website at abqjournal.com. That's the Leading News. I'm Gino Gutierrez. We'll be back tomorrow.